Hey everybody, it's a little bit later in the day, and I decided to do another session. Um, so we have this audio app kind of running now, and the last video ended with trying to get Android up, and Claude was struggling a little bit, but I let it run, and a few minutes later, we have APK. So I think what I'm going to do is try to load it up. I haven't done anything except make sure that I have a running Android emulator on this computer. So that's here, and it said I should be able to install it. So let me just see if that's true. First, where is this APK it's talking about? Okay, so here's the APK. Let's try to install it. It says success. Is this thing the Flutter app? I don't even know what the default icon is. But yeah, that looks pretty good. Let's see if we hear some sound. Okay, it's really quiet, but I hear the sound. I might have to click the up. Yeah. Okay. So the binaural beats don't seem to work. Oh no, I hear like weird clicking. Yeah, so there's a weird clicking going on. This could be some audio piping issues. So that's something to look at. But the good news is at least the file playback seems to work. And the rain animation is actually pretty good on Android. Also, the graphical stuff pretty much translated over directly. And it still has this bug where once you turn things off, you can't turn them back on. Yeah, so once I click, it's gone. So those are two things to fix, but I'm pretty happy that the UI is there and the graphics translated to Android. So with a little luck for iOS, that would also work. So what I'm going to do now is go back. Let's see, how do I stop the app? I don't even know how to stop the here. So we can swipe it away. All right. And I may have told it to shut down. I don't know. No? Okay. So what we'll do is let's tell it the app launches and runs. There is a strange clicking. In the file playback. It's not a glitch tone or anything like that. So it's not likely to be of basic like impulse at the callback rate. But what else? The synthesis tiles, sine, ectoid, and white noise do not play any sound at all. Can you fix this? Also, when I click to turn a sound off, I can never turn it back on unless I go to the next sound and come back. Please add a please remove the label. No, let's have it just focus on these things. Well, it does that. I'm going to inspect what we actually have here. So Android stuff added a lot of temporary files. A lot. But the actual files we really care about are much smaller. Yeah, so it's got all these resource XML things. And I hope it added to get the things we care about that aren't generated. But we'll see. Yeah, this is a ridiculous amount of stuff. Okay. Yeah, so the actual Android app stuff is probably pretty small, the stuff on the top. Let's look. It's still going, so let's look around. I'd like to see what's in the git ignore. Yeah, alright, so it is ignoring the build directory and lots of things we don't care about. Okay. I'd also like to look at the README a little bit. I don't think we've done that. Okay. I think this is pretty reasonable. I like this little table saying what maps to what in the files. One thing before I forget, I remember it saying it did like pink and brown noise. I didn't see anything like that. Let me look at this noise generator. Yeah, this is just a white noise generator. Where did it say it did pink noise? Maybe it did not do pink noise. Let me just grep for it. Alright, maybe we didn't have the pink noise. Yeah, you can go and commit anytime you want, Claude. But, okay, it thinks it fixed the issues, so we can try it out. Alright, so we now have a new APK, which I can install, assuming the path didn't change. Okay, so we installed it. I can try running it. I'll turn it down a little bit. That's not what I wanted. So it's very mysterious, but there's actually our synthetic code is getting in there somehow, because it changes a little bit when I play with the sliders. Oh, and you know, it's kind of interesting. It's still playing after I went to the home screen, which is a feature I wanted to ask for. What if I can see like the lock screen? Is there a lock screen? Let me just take a screenshot. I'll just tell it there is now a harsh tone for white noise and binaural beats. The sound sometimes changes when I slide. Use the frequency sliders. So the DSP, the unit generators are kind of working. Kind of been used. Just the callback or scale, callback buffer or scale is wrong. So let's see what it did while we're doing that. So it's interesting. It's using real-time audio player on mobile. So yeah, so we need to learn more about Flutter, but I wonder how it detects Android versus web. I mean, here's a K is web, but that sounds like something they detect at initialization and then set manually. So this real-time audio player, hopefully we can see what that does. I mean, to be honest, I wouldn't mind just keeping everything in web audio if we can do it like it. It would make sense to do HTML view. So that might be something to ask it for. I don't want to diverge the two apps if I don't need to. Yeah, and so like there's really nothing going on. There's this switch to sound function. Let's see how that app's doing. It's still going. So yeah, the audio playback stuff, I guess, in some sense is harder to debug for Claude than the visual stuff, because there's probably less training data on this kind of thing, and it can't hear the output. So I won't be surprised if this takes a few iterations. Yeah, and yeah, a larger buffer size is okay. We don't really have any real-time communications going on or anything like that. Okay, we should see the new commit actually. I want to see that. Yeah, I don't think we need that big of a buffer here, but it doesn't really matter for our use case. So here we are using two sinusoids like this, and before we were also doing that. But now we're going to the 0 to 1 range, which seems wrong. Audio is usually negative to positive. Occasionally you get unsigned integers values, but that's not true. I think for some Mac cases you did see 0 to 1. Yeah, I can't remember what Android normalizes to. So it's worth a shot, but I'll be surprised if this fixes the issue. Alright, so it updated the APK. We can just install and test. Okay, not great. How can we relay this? Is this something we have to go in ourselves and try to fix? I'm going to tell it the audio is still just a glitch loop for the white noise and binaural beats. Please look at the audio API you are using. Look up what the expected values are, expected format and range is. Make sure you normalize appropriately. What else do I need to tell it to do? There could be some other things like, and of course, make sure that you fill the audio buffer up. And that you are clearing it or setting it instead of just adding to what might be an uninitialized buffer. So this kind of feedback sounds like the same thing I would tell like an intern or something, where they haven't touched a lot of audio callback APIs and they might not know how to do the API. They might assume everything's in a certain range when they have to normalize from -1 to 1 or something like that. So it's using codec PCM16. Okay, so it's signed 16-bit integers. It doesn't sound right because the code I saw was going from -1 or 0 to 1, which is basically silence in 16-bit land. Because with 16-bit you go up to 32,768, and yeah, for that case we would have heard more like silence than a rough noise. But it thinks it knows what it's doing, so we'll see. I'm also going to read this real-time audio player. So this is our own class. It's not going to be anything magic. One thing I do not like is that we have a web audio player and a real-time audio player, and they're duplicating a lot of code. You can see here. And what is the point of that? So they were using an internal player called Flutter Sound Player. And in here, what are we doing? We're just calling generate noise buffer. So yeah, as part of code review, I should tell it to not do this. But right now we're going closer to the vibe coding standard. We're not reviewing before the commits happen. And commits are effectively pushes here because we just have this one repo, which is, it's probably okay for a smaller project like this, but yeah, you can see how for a larger production project, if you're working with a team, yeah, there would be quite a bit to think about before you let Claude just go ahead and do its thing. So I'm actually surprised on the web client it was able to do so well. It only took a little bit to get the audio synthesizing. But here on Android, I'm gonna start making my notes. Can you just use the web audio player that you did for web on Android? This would reduce code duplication a lot. Can't actually tell. Is web audio API something you can use effectively on Android? If not, reduce the duplication to a minimum. We could do something like port audio if we need to. So yeah, building takes quite a bit of time now. Looks like it's over 41 seconds. Oh, Yeah, so licenses for the SDK manager probably makes sense, but you can see how, I mean, if you add something like port audio, I think that's GPL. That stuff requires, it's very important to know what your licenses are. So this is another point worth thinking about. Yeah, and there's a little bit of dependency hell with the Android Gradle stuff. And this is before I even asked it to use the web API. This is some kind of messy hacking that it's doing, and I hope it's not breaking my Android install. I mean, I don't have other projects that depend on it, so it's okay, I guess. But yeah, just the Android stuff seems a lot more painful than the web stuff so far. I can see maybe one of the powers if you just have your Android Studio set up for your project and you just give it the CLI and the paths to build and stuff without dealing with dependencies so much. But it's tricky. I mean, this is one of the advantages of using a tool like Claude. It can go and get all those dependencies and libraries that would take a lot of time for you to investigate. All right, so we have another app. Let's try it out. I'm going to start the sound quiet and turn it up. Oh. So this is not what I expected, but there's white noise-ish things going on. I don't know why it's like shaking in and out, but oh. Okay, so there's like the slider somehow controls the steadiness of the noise. Which is actually kind of nice. I don't hate it. Alright, awesome. Alright, let's try binaural beats. Yeah, okay. Let me try this with headphones, because the point of the binaural beats is you should play one tone in each ear. I think it's, yeah, it's working. So when I play one ear alone, I hear no beats. When I put them both together, both headphones on, then I hear the beating phenomenon. So great, that works. Let me turn the sound back on. All right, let me go to the other sounds. There was no delay for that. That's great. Other sounds. Yeah. Yeah, so pausing also works now. It doesn't work for the white noise. That's a small thing, but I asked it to fix that. What about for binaural beats? Okay. Yeah, but overall, I'm happy with that result. So this is something that's like a bare minimum prototype. There's still a few bugs left, but I could show this to people and kind of give them the idea of what it is. So I'm happy with this result. I think, what should I do next? Sometimes sounds play in the background even when I don't, even after I go to the next sound. Okay, I'm going to give it these two requests. But now I'm thinking about just wrapping up the session for the day. I think that was pretty cool. We got some the basic Android app running. I haven't put it on my phone yet, but maybe I'll do that in a little bit. It's a little hard to show my phone on the screen. So I actually like the emulators for this purpose. And I wonder if it's worth using Claude to do the Android upload. It's definitely going to be easier to just start with the web, so I will look there. Yeah. But yeah, I think I'm happy with this result. So what should I do next? I'm gonna see how the web app is going, the web app break. So this is a real risk. Anytime you just work on one on multi-platform stuff, you could be fixing one thing and breaking the other. So one difference is the white noise doesn't play. Until I come back to it. Oh, it just doesn't play now. Huh. So it decided to stub out the white noise synthesis for Android build compatibility. So that's pretty bad. I didn't tell it to break the web. But yeah, this is like junior or intern style coding where you just get overly focused on the task at hand, and you don't mind breaking other things that aren't in your immediate view. So we have to complain about that. You stud out Android, the web, audio playback, binar on white noise. It's important to keep all targets to not regress any of our targets. And we work on a different one. Okay. So another thing I'm thinking about is, so Claude obviously is good for breaking into a new domain, either programming language or platform. And I have a Meta Quest. I've been curious about developing some apps there. I might try out something like that. There are a few like utility apps I've wanted on the platform, and I think there's not as many developers there, so it could actually be more appreciated. So this is something I might try out. Another interesting thing is there's like, I think it's called WebXR, something like that, where it's like an open standard and you can write the mixed reality or virtual reality app on the web. And I wonder if you could use Flutter for that. I'd be a little surprised, but we'll see. Okay, so it's going to do something, but we'll test it out. So what was the problem? Oh, so now white noise pauses. That's great. Rain also pauses. Oh, but then the white noise comes back. Oh, I see. So the problem is when you pause, it comes back as white noise, which doesn't make any sense. So it's going to launch a web app, and we'll see how that does. And if you're curious about running the app, it's just basically, or the phone simulator. This kind of stuff just is installed with Android Studio. So you go through that process once, and you can open up an app of whatever size and platform you want. It's much easier than setting up the iOS one. So for iOS, I'm going to have to set up environment on my Mac, I guess. But yeah, nice. It's doing something like tests. So what we probably want to do is have a script that tests things. Instead of it's kind of like trying to keep everything in its head all at once. All right. Yeah, but I can kind of see where this is going, and you probably can too. So I think might be a good point to stop. Since this is the second session of the day, I might play around a little bit more with it, but yeah, next steps are more practical things that will require a little research. I'm actually curious to talk to Claude about that, so maybe I'll just get its thoughts on this. I want to release the Android app as well as the web app. Which is easier? Oops. And which could you assist with most? For the web app, I was curious if I could post on, what's that called? Cloudflare pages. Free edition, which allows unlimited files up to 25 MB individually. Android side, I need screenshots, app icons, descriptions, etc. So I imagine that is harder. But is it something you could generate on your own library? Is it committing? I feel like it's not committing. So it's not committing. Let's start to commit. Also, please commit changes you make. Smaller atomic commits are best. Okay, so let's see if it fixed the web version, fixed the regression. Yep, okay, it works. Okay, so that delay is still there. All right, but the apps now are very close on the Android side and the web side. Okay, so it did many commits. Okay, so now it's doing. Oh, okay. Maybe I should have said atomic commits. I'll tell it can do larger commits than that. Because now I think that's a little too granular. Yeah. No, this is okay. But it's definitely easier to understand this way, so maybe I prefer that. But let's see what it says about deploying. Okay, so pretty easy. Maybe I'll just do this now. Says 10 to 15 minutes. I've got that amount of time. Great, let's push to a Cloudflare pages. I happen to have it's npx and Wrangler set up, and let's push Cloudflare before on this computer. I want a new Cloudflare pages. What do you call that? Project. Will it work with Flutter slash what is it? Flutter slash JS? I think it will, because it's not, there's no like dynamic serving stuff happening, right? It's all client side. Is this app all client side? So let me pull up my Cloudflare. Where is that? Okay, so it says, yes, 100% client side. Great. Okay, let's do that. So it wants to build for release. Let's do that. Sure. Okay, so we have a bunch of things that I don't need to worry about right now. I want to see the pages. Where's that? Cloudflare pages. And yeah, we can register a domain. I'll pay the $10 or whatever. That under storage. Yeah, so I think it was like this that I made the project. So I did like, let's see where it's at. Oh, it wants to go to, that's great. This is something I was thinking about. The 25 megabyte limit. And it kind of sucks that we have these large WAV files anyway. But yeah, let's encode it with libvorbis, or if not Opus. Yeah, go ahead and do that. And while it does that, I'll ask for a new project. And I'm going to directly upload everything. So this project's going to be called Softly. And we can add a domain later if we ever want to. Probably have to authenticate, but we can do that. I should tell it that doesn't need to use the WAV file. I think OGG is going to be fine. That way we can throw in a lot more files too. Okay. Oh, it's going to create the project too. Yeah, why don't you just go ahead and do that. Ah, I need the Cloudflare API token, huh? Is that right? Do I not have that? So this is something I'm going to have to do offline because it's more sensitive stuff. So I'm going to pull this out of the way. Alright, so this part's not going to be that fun for a viewer. I have to basically do some like authentication stuff off that's kind of private. So I might just pause the video here and let you know when I come back. Alright, so I did the auth stuff. I think things will work like this. We'll see. And the project name will just call software because I already have that. Ah. So it almost worked. I ran it outside this environment. Well, let's see what it does about that. Sure, you can remove things. Don't you need the OGG files? I'm worried that the pub spec change seem to remove all assets. The manual move is not a sustainable one. Please fix the builds. While it does that, I will just try again. Wants me to do this, so I'll do that. I'm already in that directory, so let's see how this goes. Okay, it did something. Let's see what happens. Hey, that totally works. The wave sound does not play. The rain one does. Oh, there we go. So there's some bugs, but now we have a web page that runs it, and I can easily change this to my own domain name if I wanted to. So I'm very happy about this. It took a little more than the 15 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes to quote it. It took about 30 minutes, I think. But overall not bad. So what I'm going to do is just end the stream today. And I might look more into the Android app launching. But that might not be so interesting for the stream. I'm not sure. I'll think about it. Sometimes it's interesting to see people struggle and showing people that I'm struggling with these logistical program app framework type things is something I do that I think provides some value. So maybe I will show that. But yeah, thanks for watching, and see you next time.